We are here.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. So welcome to Creativity and Purpose. And I'm Lisa Sonora, and I'm here with Emily and Aaron, and the three of us are co-facilitating a retreat at the New Year of 2018. And so I just wanted to welcome everybody, give you a little overview of what we're doing. We're going to try to keep this to about 45 minutes, so kind of get in, get out. We'll have time at the end for some Q&A. And what I would love to invite everyone to do is, since this is a mini workshop, is to just let yourself arrive and single task. And if you don't already have a notebook, before you ground and sort of get here, you have a moment to get a notebook while we're talking, because we're going to do some writing coming up in a few minutes with Aaron. So you want a notebook and something to write with. And it's really a luxury to single task in our day and age. And that's really what a retreat gives us, is something different than our ordinary life. And so we can practice that together for 45 minutes, just as if you would go to a yoga class. And Emily's going to be leading us in yin yoga during the retreat, so she can speak better about this than me. If you went to a yoga class, for example, you'd be single tasking. You wouldn't be on your phone or running around and driving and being on a meeting at the same time. So it's a real luxury to single task, and that is the invitation. And so what we're going to do on this call, each of us is going to just share a brief story about how we kind of got on our purposeful creative path. We're going to do some creative activities. Emily's going to talk about the astrology going on right now that affects our creative purpose, and also what we can look forward to in the new year. We'll also talk about what we'll be doing at this retreat, and we'll do some writing together, and we'll even have the opportunity to read aloud, possibly, at the end. So it's kind of, the writing piece is what we do together in the retreat, so that'll be very powerful. So as a way of arriving, one thing I'd like to invite you to do is look around your space, wherever you are right now, and notice if you find a symbol or something, whatever is in your eyesight, something that symbolizes or represents your creative purpose. And just notice what that is. And it might not come right away, it's okay. But just keep that in mind as we're going through the call together. It might be as simple as the pen in front of you. That could be a very powerful symbol for your creative purpose, or your notebook. And once you get it, just jot it down. And if you feel daring, do a 1-minute drawing of it while we're on the phone. There's something very wonderfully grounding and calming about being able to doodle and write while you're listening to other people talk. Okay, so I want to hand the mic over to Emily and let her share a little bit about her. How did you get on this path and find your creative purpose, Emily? You're such a prolific writer and publisher for so many years.
It's true. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. So as a kid, I always wrote in my diary. I was a big journaler all the way through my 20s into my 30s. And I always wanted to be a writer. I was a big reader. I loved reading novels. I still love novels. So I always had this dream of being a writer, but I was so terrified to share my writing. And so it was very much like my secret, my secret writing in my journals, writing poems. And even when I went to college, I was too afraid to take a creative writing class.
Wow.
So I was an English major. So it was much safer to write about other people's writing and talk about other people's writing. And then I was in my late 20s and living in New York. And I was in my Saturn return. For those of you who know what that is astrologically, it happens at around age 29, and then again at around age 58. And it's typically a kind of crisis around being on path and being on purpose. And so I happened to see this flyer. This was in the late 90s, so before everything was internet. I saw a flyer for a writing workshop in my neighborhood in Brooklyn. And I tore off the little piece of paper with the number, and I sat with it. It took me a couple of days. I was so scared to even call the number. I was so scared, but I had this moment of like, am I doing this or am I not doing this? Am I gonna take this risk? And it makes me kind of teary to think about it, because it was a huge, it was so huge. And I know this is, now that I've been doing this creative work for a long time and working with people around creativity, I know that this is so common to be terrified to express ourselves and to express ourselves around other people. So I called the number and I started doing this workshop, and I landed in the best possible place, because this was a workshop based on a method developed by Pat Schneider, who's a goddess. She's now in her 80s, I think. And she developed this method that's all about creating a safe and supportive environment and nurturing everyone's individual voice. So a lot of times when people go into writing programs, like for an MFA or something, it's a lot about like, there's a lot of competition, it's not so supportive. Maybe people are trying to write like the superstar writers, the teachers of the program. So this is completely different. It's about community, it's about supporting each other. So I loved it so much. That's where I met Erin. So Erin and I have known each other now for about 20 years, which is amazing. And I, after about a year, I trained with Pat, and then I started leading writing workshops as well. And Erin had also recently trained and started leading workshops, and I got to take some of Erin's workshops. So we started out as writing friends. And this was a life changer. And I remember, and I think Erin and I had these conversations too, where like, we're applying the principles of the workshop to all areas of life. And it just opened up this whole different perspective on life, and definitely a different perspective on creativity, and gave me so much more freedom. And it was so terrifying at first to read out loud, to write and then read out loud in front of other people. And it's still I mean, it's still edgy, but I think the fear doesn't go away. But that practice of reading and writing, it's been such a practice of self-acceptance, really, and learning about the creative process, and then it does come out messy, and that's okay, and that there's also like brilliance and genius that comes out in these intense moments when we're in that group field. It's so powerful to write in a group. And we have this idea that creativity is like, I have to be the tortured, isolated artist, you know, sweating away on my own. And it's like, this just opened up a whole different perspective on creativity, and a whole different life for me, really, that led into my path as a writer. So that's I feel like I could go on and on, but I'm gonna pass it over to Erin. And Erin, how did you get started as a writer on your writing path?
I was born.
And then what happened?
Then, no, I think my relationship to creativity started, like, that was a slight joke, but really young. And I always was, you know, like all of us, or many people, you know, you're writing stuff, you're drawing stuff, you're just doing creative things without really thinking about it or labeling it or, you know, worrying about it. Although, you know, it also happens really young that internal barriers start to form too, because you get judgment from the world and the way that most creative things are, I don't even want to say the word taught, or, you know, like dealt with in school environments and things like that. So, but I really liked acting, and I'm kind of a ham, I think. So when I was in high school, I was in a lot of school plays and all that, and I thought I wanted to pursue that as a career, and that was really where like a lot of my creativity was funneled. But I was writing during that time too, and I was gonna go. My plan was to go to college to NYU to their acting program, and at the same time, I had a lot of I don't know what the right word was, like negative voices in my head, like this is not a good career choice. It's not safe. Do something more conventional. That come in through family and society and the world. So I, even though I was fairly decent at it, you know, for someone in high school, I self-sabotaged. I didn't prepare for the audition at all that I had to do to get in, and this was to get into like major acting schools. So it took me a few years to realize, like much later, I realized what it was all about for me, like where that all came from. And so of course I was not successful in college at first, and then I went back to school and I started studying film, which was also creative, and I started doing screenwriting for a couple screenwriting classes, and I really liked it. So then after I graduated, you know, that period after you graduate college where you're like, what is my life? You know, I wasn't really writing, and I wanted something, so I applied to grad school for creative writing, for writing fiction, which I'd done some of, but not a ton of. Anyway, simultaneously, I saw the same flyer as Emily and joined this writing workshop. Maybe not the exact same physical flyer, but and you know, it was 2 blocks from my house in Brooklyn, and it was the summer before I was starting grad school, so I thought, okay, I should write some stuff so that I have it hand out in grad school. And it just, I'll never really forget the first day of this workshop. This was 1994. And I wrote something and read it out loud, and people replied, and they understood what I was trying to do in my piece, and they got it, and they understood like the feelings of the main character. It was just, you know, this short scene, and I was floored. I was like, I can't believe that people get this. I don't know why. It wasn't like it was, you know, obtuse, but you know, just inside something opened up. So this model that Emily was talking about, that now I've been leading since 1997. So that's 20 years, I realize. So, you know, that really spoke to me. So when I finished grad school, I started my own workshop, and that led to what I do now, which is New York Writers Coalition, which has been around for 15 years. And it's a nonprofit that works with underserved communities, providing free creative writing workshops, like the one we'll do today in Oaxaca, and serves like 1,300 to 1,600 people a year and more than 1,000 workshops. And so it turned into something, which is a whole other story. But really, I think that simple thing of just like sitting and listening to myself, and then having other people hear it and reflect back something, that basic moment happens over and over again, and every single time it's magical. It really is, and powerful, because, well, I don't have to explain all that. Maybe I'll stop there. But so yes, that led me into really taking writing seriously, and being able to pursue it more, and obviously working with the creative process, which I think really is ultimately what the most important aspect of the workshop, or one of the most important aspects, like getting into the process and seeing what comes, and being open to that, and able to, you know, listen to the different voices inside yourself, or inside myself. So yeah, so maybe I'll kick it over to Lisa, and let's hear your story.
Oh, well, I'm going to start my story. First of all, here, I feel very teary and emotional, you guys.
It's a full moon.
Okay. Well, and also that I want to just say how grateful I am to do this with everybody. This is my dream come true, just exactly what we're doing right now. And I love doing it in person, but doing it virtually, I teach a lot online, etc. I feel like we could just do a whole thing about everyone to tell their creative origin stories. I mean, it's so, I had a lot of shame around my creativity for so long. In fact, I think it's still something I work with in different ways. It doesn't totally shut me down and stop me, but for anyone out there listening who thinks it's too late for them to start, you've probably heard, oh, it's never too late. And there's like a positive quote around that or something. But there's something weird that happens when you start saying yes to your creative impulses, is that it doesn't matter how much time elapsed, you're doing it now. And I think it makes up for it, if that makes sense. But I took so many detours and back doors through my creativity because I was terrified of being seen. And I felt like I had all the weight of all this baggage of my own unworthiness from my childhood, et cetera, whatever. The myriad hard luck tales or what have you. And all of those things ended up becoming fuel for my whole creative journey. It was really a quest for me to really just find a way to feel good, and to feel okay. And by detours, I mean, I started out in music school. I went to a music conservatory and double majored got a therapy degree. So I was doing music and art therapy at the same time. And, just to make things complicated and intense, because that left very little time for my own creative work. I didn't know about introversion at the time. And here I got a whole performance degree. And then when I was about 30 years old, I was like, oh my God, I hate being on stage. Fuck. Sorry. I was trying not to swear in this call. But anyway, the shame was, I felt like I wasted all this time and money getting this degree that I was never going to do anything with. And it was supposedly creative. And everyone kept asking me, why aren't you performing? Why aren't you playing? Oh, you're so talented or whatever. And it was just, I felt like I just disappointed everybody, including my music teachers and myself. And because I had so much stage fright anxiety. And, but really I felt like my true calling was to be more of a behind the scenes person. Oops. I set a 3-minute timer for myself. So I have to stop talking now, but, it was a circuitous path. Right after I finished music conservatory, I was living in Chicago and going to school there. And I met Julia Cameron. Also, I saw a flyer and decided to show up for this scary class. And I remember the flyer so vividly. It was at this little new age bookshop where she was teaching this workshop. No one knew who she was. It was way before The Artist Way got written. It was in the late 80s, maybe 89, 88. And Julia, her workshop, her creativity process helped me really heal and overcome whatever music school did to me that made me want to quit doing music, which is what a lot of fine art programs can do, is basically kill the urge that you had, the creative urge that you had. And so that really set me on a path of exploring creative process, and also how that ties in with our spiritual path as well. That's what I really loved about working with Julia. Her program was modeled on 12 steps, because she was in AA, or she is in AA. And so she used that model to approach creativity as a healing modality. And then I met Erin and Emily in the late 90s.
I think 2000.
Was it 2000?
Mm-hmm.
I was teaching a creativity workshop at Esalen, and they both were there. Emily had come to other ones before. And Emily was at my first Oaxaca retreat I did in 2001. So that's my incoherent circular story.
I know, and I'm with you. I feel like we could there's so much to talk about just with that subject, and I think all of us could have a very...
It wasn't a straight path, and it wasn't easy. But once I discovered some tools, they've served me for a lifetime, and that's what I like to give other people. It doesn't have to take 20 years. It took me decades before I was willing to share my work publicly. Doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think the path is never straight, and it's still not straight ever. Like, as soon as you think you have it figured out, you don't, and I think that is why focusing on process so much really helps, because, that for me, whenever I'm stuck or, just really struggling with writing or, other things too, like delving into the process, usually I'm zoomed out too big and worried about what's going to happen. And if you can just immerse yourself back in whatever process you're doing, that, it might give you some answers that don't lead you on the straight path that you thought you wanted or had, or was, sometimes it's annoying. You're like, oh no, this is, oh, okay, I got to do this other thing now. But really listening to that is powerful.
This is such a good segue, Erin, because it's your turn to just say, what are we going to do on this retreat? And then, are you doing writing next? Or is it, no, Emily's then going to do the astrology part.
Yeah. So yeah, we're a little behind schedule, so this might be a little shorter. And so if I leave anything out and people have questions, we'll have time at the end too for that. But so yeah, the retreat, I thought I would talk about why and what inspired us for this retreat, and then a little bit about what's going to happen. So one of the biggest things that inspired us to do it is we really just wanted to work together and figure out a way. Like, we've all, in one form or another, been inspired by each other, been in each other's workshops, or, written together informally, or, taking the painting, visual art with Lisa was really profound for me, because I can barely draw a stick figure. So it really forced me to get into so the chance to do this again. And, we were talking yesterday about this, but I think both Emily and Lisa are such brilliant people and facilitators and nurturers of creativity. I'm like, for me, I just want to be in a space with them. So we all kind of felt the same way, like, what can we do? And then we started talking about, like, why? And, it's easy to get into a state of confusion in the world that is so chaotic right now, and so much is swirling around. And it's easy to lose sight of who you are and what you really want to do. All that other stuff gets filtered in. So we started talking about creative purpose as a sort of framework to hold everything together, and the glue for this retreat. And it really resonated for me, because, I think that's a question that's actively alive for me on a constant basis, and where I am in life right now. So I was excited about getting the chance to explore that with these guys, and also, like, figure out, just for myself, and also, use what I know to bring that into this space. So we thought of this as a great thing, and then we came up with, what if we do it right at the beginning of the new year, which seems perfect, and also what a good time to go to Mexico in January. I live in New York City, so I was like, oh my God, that sounds great. So the level of excitement that I think the three of us have about this is going to be another thing that makes it really, really special. And, so what's going to happen at the retreat? I think it's kind of straightforward by the descriptions. We're going to have, bring all these different modalities together. We're going to have creative writing. We're going to have astrology. We're going to have visual art. We're going to have yoga. And we're going to see how these different practices intersect, see the different things they bring to us. There's wisdom in all of these things. So, each day will be kind of different, but we'll have writing workshop time. We'll have yoga, I think, every other day. We'll have visual journaling and astrology. So it's going to be incredible. And I think one of the things that I wanted to explore in this is, like, the way, thinking of purpose, the way that stories we tell ourselves work, and the way that narrative works. And I think one thing that happens when you get reflected back to you with your writing, you have a story in your head and that you tell yourself every day, but all of our stories are way bigger than the stories that we tell ourselves. So one thing that happens when you read aloud something that you're in a safe space, I think the other key that I think is really, really important about this whole retreat is all of us are experiencing deeply on safe space. So when you create that safe space, you can go anywhere, and it's not that it's fearless. There's a lot of fear, but you can still, push yourself to or move yourself to these different places, and things come up. So, through creating this safe space and then getting things reflected back to you or even back to yourself, you learn that your own story is only part of the story. The story you tell yourself is a piece of it, and you're able to see the bigger story. And I think that helps you come to purpose, to finding things about your purpose or anything else that you want to find out about yourself. So I'm really, really excited about that, and integrating, the different activities and seeing how they're going to intersect with each other. So we're going to do a lot of that. And we're also going to eat delicious food and bask in Oaxaca and asking each other's energy. I think that's another thing that happens on retreat. Everybody's going through their own kind of creative journey, and being around other people doing it gives you the strength to go through that too. Where, well, if Lisa's going to be here examining, or doing this process, I guess I should too, or I can. And the collective power of a group doing this is amazing. So anyway, it's going to be great. I think that's what I have to say. And then now how I knew my cat would bite me at some point during this call. Emily.
Yes. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Awesome. Yeah, and so when we first started talking about this retreat, it was pretty soon after the election last November. And what I was noticing with my clients and students is a lot of question around what do I do? What do I do? I think that the election in the US was a big activator for people in terms of okay, the world is crazy. What's my role in it? What am I here to do? And I think this is where astrology is really useful, because there's so many things we could do. And a lot of us have many different skills and talents, and we feel called to serve in different ways. But astrology is really helpful to identify, well, what's my specific purpose? What am I really here to work on? What are the gifts I'm really here to give? So with the retreat, I'm going to be doing individual readings for everyone in the group. So you're going to get that focus on your own purpose and also on your own creativity. And astrology is also helpful for identifying creative blocks, what is in the way of my living my purpose or my doing my creative whatever. And I think also for me, and I know for Erin and Lisa for sure, and probably for many of you, that creative practice is something that we can come back to again and again to help us deepen into what is my soul calling for? Yeah, there's a zillion things I could be doing, but what's really true for me internally? So to carve out this retreat space to really deepen into ourselves. And there's so many different, ideas out there of what we should be doing or what could be effective, but to really, come from that deeper place, which I think when the world is crazy, we're being called to go deeper within ourselves, to really pull out. And also this sense we're all needed right now. And what's needed is our individual genius, and we need to get really creative. We can't, the Einstein quote that everyone requotes about we can't solve the problems of the world with the same consciousness that created the problems, something like that, right? So we need to really pull that deep genius and creativity and innovative spirit that we all have that really wants to come out right now. And astrologically, I just want to say a little bit about what's happening now. Lisa and I both talked about being kind of teary today, and it is the full moon today, and the full moon is the peak, the emotional peak of the month. I've been weepy like all week. And the full moon today is in the sign Capricorn. And Capricorn is all about our purpose in the world. And we have this like kind of shadow idea of Capricorn as being like ambitious and step on everyone to get to the top, right? We have that kind of mainstream version, which is not very attractive. But high vibration Capricorn is about being in service to society. Capricorn is about taking power in the world in service to society. And I just want to, Aaron talked a little bit about his nonprofit in a very like very humble kind of way. Aaron, who has his moon and rising sign in Capricorn, although he's a Cancer sun, his birthday is next week. The nonprofit, I think Aaron is a great example of like really awesome Capricorn, because what he created this amazing nonprofit that works with people in prison, people who used to be in prison, at-risk youth, formerly homeless, people with disabilities, and empowers them through creativity. And he's worked his ass off to run a nonprofit in New York City, and he's amazing. So this is like someone who's really on purpose and in service to society and working really hard. Capricorn's a lot about hard work. So part of this full moon is really about bringing to awareness, like, what am I really doing? Like, what's my real purpose? And what am I willing to do for it? Because Capricorn is the sign of both fear and mastery. And so when Capricorn energy gets stirred up, as it is today, and we've been feeling it all week, there's this sense of like clarity and revelation coming around what we're here to do. And at the same time, it freaks us out. And in fact, I really think that when what we want to do scares the hell out of us, we're on path. And if we don't have fear, then it's not that interesting, and we probably shouldn't be doing it. Right? We might be good at something and we don't really have an emotional charge around it. And that's not really, there's no growth there, right? There's no growth there. And also, if we don't have a lot of emotion around something, we're not going to have enough passion to keep investing in it when we come up against obstacles, which no doubt happens, right? Okay, so today's full moon is a great time to tune into what is my purpose. And then the whole astrology of this summer is a lot about creativity. And we have a lot of Leo happening right now. We've got 2 new moons in Leo, which is rare. The second one is a solar eclipse in Leo. This is the Great American Solar Eclipse, a lot of hype, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just going to cut to the chase with Leo. Leo is the sign of the artist and creativity and shining our light and being seen. And it's about individuality and uniqueness. And for the next year and a half, basically till November of 2018, the North Node is in Leo, and the North Node always points to the best way forward and the path of like our highest growth and evolution. So the North Node in Leo is about shining our individual light and really following our passion and what lights us up versus being stuck in our heads about what we think we should do or what society tells us to do or what we were conditioned to do by our parents. So it's like getting out of that state of mental blah, 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 and just doing it, just like following what feels exciting, what feels fun, what lights us up. And if we think of, the times that we're in as pretty dark in a lot of ways, right? And it's very easy to just get like depressed and overwhelmed and also to feel guilty if we're doing something fun or creative, right? Like, how can I be sitting here in a writing workshop while people are starving to death or being bombed, right? And it's not useful for me to suffer and restrict my own creative energy that doesn't actually help those people. But what we need, what we really need are people who are lit up. Like if times are really dark, we need everyone to be super bright and bring more of our light. And that's what the Leo North Node is all about. That continues through next year. And actually that might be enough to say because that's a lot. But that's what I think is the real headline. And this summer is super fiery and so much about shining our light and following our light. That's the recommendation. We get into January, that's still true. And also Saturn will move into Capricorn, which makes it even more important that we're on task. But again, I've talked for too long and we're kind of on time. So that's my asterisk check for now.
Awesome. So exciting. I'm literally on the edge of my seat.
Yay.
Should we do some writing together? Aaron? Yeah?
Yes.
All right. Let's write. I think that's such a good, like, woo. Okay, let's do it.
Yeah. Speaking of fear and let's write.
Okay.
So this is going to be just a really, really quick taste of us writing together. We're going to do just a 3-minute writing exercise prompt. I call them suggestions. So if this doesn't speak to you, just free write your to-do list in your journal, write whatever comes to you. You know, if there's something that you've had in mind that you've been wanting to write lately or your whole life, you know, you can do that. And you have 3 minutes, you know, but just, you know, it's just kind of just a chance for us to like jot things down. And my cat is sitting on my notebook right now, so speaking of fear, I have to move him. But this prompt is one that I really like, and I think somehow relates to what we're all talking about. So it's to just start by, and if 3 minutes is just too much pressure or whatever, you know, you can do this later too in a more full way, in a longer way. So maybe I'll tell you the longer version and the shorter version. Like the longer version is to start with making a list of the things I'm about to say. But try to think of just now offhand of things you're good at, times in your life you've achieved perfection, times when other people should have envied you, you know, just really, really positive stuff like that. And the suggestion is to write something in a really bragging and boastful tone about that thing or things. And the idea is to have fun with it, exaggerate, go crazy with it. And whatever comes to you, like, let it come out. So sometimes it may not be something that appears positive that you tell yourself you're good at. Oh, I'm so good at picking the wrong person to date comes up. Or, you know, but it could also be like, I am so good at making eggs. It could be small, it could be big, it could be really anything that comes to you. And for 3 minutes, just write about, you know, in a bragging or boasting tone, and just let it go wherever it goes. And so I'll let you know when it's almost time so that you can wind down. So yeah, let's do that. And don't worry about making it good or, you know, usable. It's really is just like a 3-minute game. So why don't we start now? So take about 30 seconds or so and find a place that's good to stop for now. You don't have to wrap it up because it doesn't really work that way, but just find a place feels like a good stopping place. And if anybody on this call is like on a writing roll and you want to keep writing, you should just keep writing because that's more important than anything else, I think. So we'll start in a few moments. All right. So one of the practices that we have in our workshop is basically everything's optional. So like I said before, if this prompt didn't speak to you, you can always ignore it. And then what we generally do is ask people if they want to share what they wrote, and that's always optional too. One of the differences of doing a call with 20 some odd people versus a writing workshop is, we always make sure there's time for everybody who wants to read, and then we give some response and feedback that's safe and supportive. So, yeah, but we have a volunteer already. That's good. So yeah, what I thought we would do is ask a couple people to share. We don't have time for everybody to, but maybe 2 people to read what they wrote. And then another aspect before we start that I'll just mention that I think is important is that the facilitator, the leader, always writes too, along with the group. So nobody's asking anybody to try something that, they wouldn't do. And so we're all in that same vulnerable, scary place. So I guess the one thing that maybe one more thing I'll say before Sonia reads is just, it may seem obvious, but well, actually I don't know how to do this because we're recording this call. So I guess confidentiality is not really a thing. But generally confidentiality is thing in our workshop. But maybe what we'll do, our version of it will be, if someone reads, and you happen to know them, just like give them space and, don't talk to them about what they wrote unless they tell you that they want you to. So, but anyway, so Sonia, would you like to share what you wrote?
I would love to. And of course, we were supposed to kind of write about something we're good at or whatever and exaggerate a little bit. So I hope this is okay. I said, I'm a really great entertainer. I love being hospitable and making people feel welcomed. When I entertain, I bring people together I like, but that do not know one another. I prepare beautiful food and I have everyone engage with one another. So all feel included and can have fun. People leave my parties feeling refreshed and loved. It is a way to give back to my friends by doing something special for them and connecting with everyone. I get joy from my social gatherings. Everything I do is to make the experience special for those attending.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you. And then we're hearing some gifts from this narrator that are really beautiful. And the thing, I don't know, what strikes me is the things that are important to this narrator, the space, how everyone feels at the party is really lovely. So thank you, Sonia.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Speaking of narrator, and if someone else wants to share, just if you are able to raise your hand in chat, otherwise, I don't know how we know how to unmute people.
Well, you can actually unmute yourself by clicking on the microphone symbol in the lower left of your screen. So you could just unmute yourself and say, I want to share.
Okay, Jenny would like to share.
Oh, great, perfect.
But what I wanted to say about narrator, in case that sounds strange to people, in the workshop, we treat all writing as fiction. So even if you're writing about yourself, we don't say you, we talk about the narrator, when the narrator said this or that. And that opens up a whole nother dimension of something. It's very special to feel a little bit removed from your own writing. Even if you're writing a memoir, to say, oh, the narrator. That's been so helpful to me.
Me too. And the truth is, as soon as we start writing our story, we do become the narrator. And, my mom becomes a character. She's not my mom anymore. She's my character. Okay, so Ginny is unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. This just took me in a direction I didn't expect, so
Yay.
I'm really great at making soup, of taking vegetables, chopping, mincing, cutting, and seasoning, thickening, adding salt and pepper, making something delicious from the pieces and parts of living, growing, sustaining things found in my fridge, on my shelf, or at the local store. I think this is a bigger metaphor for my life now. Lots of broken pieces along the journey, lots of experiences, some good, some not, yet here I am at age 58 making a new career for myself, creating it out of my skills, knowledge, dreams, desires, and more. I'm making life soup, a delicious, nourishing, sustainable livelihood. I hope creatively mine, creatively unique.
Awesome.
Thank
Life
you.
soup.
Yeah, life soup.
Life soup. I love that. I love that. And I
I'll
love
have
how
some of that.
yes, and the way that it turns, like it's about soup, but it's about everything, you know, and that's, I love that. And it found that space naturally, like that spot naturally. It's lovely.
Bring life soup to Sonia's party.
Seriously. So Anne wanted to share, maybe that will be, sorry to everyone else who might want to share, but just because of time. So maybe Anne will share and then we'll keep going. How's that?
Sounds good.
I thought I would try your she, so I might have to stumble. She is a world champion life trekker. By that, she has mastered the art of loading a backpack with necessities to sustain her, and she marched off to conquer the strange new worlds. At first, the worlds were strange to her, but familiar to others, being a kid, and then a wife, and then a mother. Then the trek got more complicated, helping her community, making thousands of costumes and plays, and starting new churches. Then she found herself in strange territories, divorced with kids and getting real jobs, and suddenly she found she was writing decisions that the president was going to sign. She did that?
Lovely. That's awesome. Trekker.
That's my license plate.
Anne.
That's incredible. I
want to read, I think your memoir needs to be in many volumes. This is all true. These are all things she's very good at. I know her, so I got to hear a little narrator. I know the narrator. Sorry, I know the narrator. See? Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so before we wrap it up and, you know, move to whatever's next, I just want to affirm how brave our readers are for reading in this setting. This is not a typical, you know, little small space gathering where it's, you know, goes out into the ether and never to be, you know, where the moment passes. So I think it takes a lot of courage to read anything aloud that you just wrote on the spot in any setting. But in a setting like this, I'm like, wow, I'm impressed that people are able to just dive in. So thank you guys for doing that.
I think what we wanted to do just before we answer questions people may have about the retreat is just to tell people where to register if they want to. Do you want me to say something about that?
You know, I'm going to send out an email with the link if you want to register. But I do want to say that we only have 6 spaces total for people to stay at the art house, and 4 of those spaces are taken. So we just have 2 more spots left for people who want to stay at the art house. And then we have the retreat is going to be 10 people total. So it's a very intimate retreat with 3 facilitators. So you're going to get a lot of personal attention there. And so we just have 6 spots left in the retreat, 2 spots left in the art house. And the early registration deadline is July 31st. And then the price goes up after that. And anything else pertinent that I should say about that?
What is Art House? Art House is my place here in Oaxaca, and it's a artist residency retreat space that I've been creating. And the house itself has the rooms, so they're double occupancy rooms. Anne's been here before. And then we'll have our workshop space, our writing and visual creative space on site. There's a studio. I was going to show you. We're going to make a wisdom visual journal. I think I'll make a separate video about this to show people what this is all about. But we start out with big, huge pieces of paper and intuitively create throughout the week and make these little books and then work on them during the week. So it's a very intuitive, creative process. You don't have to be an artist to do this. You don't have to be a professional writer or anything to attend. And then we have a yoga studio a couple blocks away where we'll be doing gentle yin yoga sessions, which help with relaxation, sleep. I can't wait to do that. Some of them will be before bed. So we're really going to just, staying here is wonderful. That's where Emily and Aaron and I are staying. And then we have some hotels picked out a block or so away for people who aren't able to get it. What are the days of the retreat?
January 3rd through 9th, I believe. Yep. I'm double checking. Yes, January 3rd to Wednesday, January 3rd to Tuesday, January 9th.
Yeah. And the registration page shows all the details about what airport and where the heck is Oaxaca and all that stuff.
Yeah, and since Lisa has been doing this for a while and knows Oaxaca so well, once you sign up, you receive an email with everything you need to know. So if you have any anxiety about, if you haven't been there before, if you have anxiety about traveling to a foreign country, Lisa just lays it all out so beautifully and helpfully. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure. A lot of people who come to my retreats, not just in Mexico, but the different retreats I lead internationally, a majority of the people are getting their passport for the first time. So I feel that, and I've been blogging. The theme of my blog is creativity, travel, and courage. And so much of my creative process has been influenced by my love of travel off the beaten path. And putting those two things together is just so powerful. But we have as much fear about travel as we do creativity. So it's like a double bonus. So I understand that. I understand how intimidating that can be to go decide to do something by yourself. You won't be alone once you get here. And so we have these wonderful stories of people meeting on the plane on the way here, that they're coming to the same place and ended up sitting right next to each other and stuff. It's really cool. I love bringing people here. It's such a wonderful culture for creativity. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, I think there's something. I'll just say quick. There's something when I've done retreats in places where I don't live. You just kind of wake up because everything's new to you or different. So your senses and yourself are just kind of like opened up in a different way, sort of like when you're on vacation, except this is, not vacation per se, but you do kind of come alive in a different way and details stand out of everything you're seeing and experiencing. So I am so excited.
Yeah, just being out of your ordinary environment is so, I think it's really necessary to do periodically. And it's been a while for me, so I'm really excited just to be kind of jolted out of my habitual ways of seeing and ways of behaving. And yeah. So we want to open it up and see if there's any questions before we close. Any questions about the retreat or any questions about creative process or writing or astrology or anything. So, and you can either type in the chat and we'll see it, or you can unmute yourself just by clicking that microphone symbol in the lower left of your screen.
So we have a question.
Another similar, well, at this point, probably, I mean, I know Lisa will be doing more retreats next year, no doubt. The three of us coming together is a pretty rare and special
It's like the eclipse. It might be every 20 years.
Exactly. Just coordinating our 3 schedules and all of that. So who knows? Well, it would be awesome if we could do this every year, but I doubt the 3 of us will come together again next year.
No. Yeah.
No. Yeah. Temperature in Oaxaca in January. Yes.
It's it'll be in the 80s probably. Bright, beautiful, sunny days, and there's no humidity. Oaxaca is situated in a valley surrounded by mountains, so it's high desert, but also very lush because we're surrounded by mountains. So right from the art house here, you can look out and see mountains, and it's lovely all the times of year. It's especially lovely from October through March. That's like the prime season. And now it's summer here, so we have the rainy season, but it's more like monsoon style. So, but it doesn't really rain during the winter. It's bright and sunny. On my blog, I have to sort of corral these posts, or on my Instagram, I'm constantly taking pictures of the Oaxaca sky. It's sort of a weird obsession, but it's so beautiful. The light here is extraordinary. So nice weather, but no humidity. It cools down in the evening, probably to the low 70s, high 60s. So all you really need is a light jacket, or, if you're coming from New York, you'll have your coat, but you'll never use it till you go back home.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah. It's very casual here. You can wear your sandals, and you can wear like yoga wear the whole week if you want.
I have a foodie friend who knows food so well, and she went to Oaxaca recently, and she was like, it's the food capital of Mexico.
It really is.
She was blown away by the food there. So that's another thing that I'm like excited about.
And you can have a wonderful, fancy foodie dinner, like at the nicest restaurants, for $30, including a drink. So it's really affordable. It's like the price of, coffee in New York. You can get a whole dinner, It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Or San Francisco. That's where I lived for a long time. And it's like, wow, how is going out for coffee $20?
Yeah.
So your money and the dollar is very strong to the peso, so it goes a long way. Whatever your currency is, it's guaranteed stronger than the Mexican peso.
Yeah. Any other questions? Great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Right on time.
Sort of. Close.
Yeah.
We did it.
Website to sign up. Yeah, I'm going to send out the link, but it's also in the original email that I sent out. But it's galacticpriestessacademy.com is my website, and you'll find it under programs. It says Oaxaca Retreat. The Galactic Priestess Academy, and then look under programs and click on Oaxaca Retreat. And again, I'll send out the link shortly when I send out the recording of the video.
Is there a way to put the link in a chat here?
Oh, God, you're such a genius.
Just in case someone's looking at the recording.
Thank you for your techno genius.
I don't know.
There.
Or in a comment. Oh, there it is. Yay.
There it is.
Okay, cool. Cool.
And I don't actually know if that's, that may or may not show up in the recording. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. I wanted to say too that we're just taking a deposit right now for the retreat. It's $500. What is the cost of the retreat?
I'm looking to make sure it's $1,775 is before July 31st, and after that it's $2,150. And
then in the fall, I think it's September or something.
September 30th is when the balance is due. So right now it's $500 to save your space. And then the balance is due by September 30th.
Yeah, and if someone wants to do 2 payments for the balance or whatever, we can figure that out. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, we'll just bill you for the balance due in September.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Right. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, everybody. This was just such a wonderful thing to do. Actually, I'd like to do more virtual things. Maybe that would be something we could do more in the future.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was really fun. I'm so excited about the astrology, and I love knowing that the full moon is affecting my emotions.
Not just you.
It helps me just go a little bit more gently with myself and others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, beautiful humans. Maybe see some of you in Oaxaca.
Okay.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.